Hi, I'm Elle. I build brand voices that don't just sound nice, they actually bring in revenue. If you're a founder or the marketer inside a small but scaling team, you're likely suffering from a very specific condition that I call the Doom-Rewrite-Bottleneck. It looks like this. For the founder, you've built a great product, you have a vision, but every time you try to delegate the writing of that vision, it comes back looking wrong. So what do? You rewrite it. You spend your evenings and weekends fixing the copy because you're terrified that if you don't, your brand will lose its soul. This is the doom loop. You become the default marketer by accident, and if you're the marketer hired to fix this, you're probably tired of the constant rewrite loop as well. You want to move fast, but you're stuck guessing what is inside the founder's head because the only feedback you get is it just doesn't sound like us. So, if that's you, stay with me. I'll show you how to make your brand voice a revenue asset so you can scale across people, platforms, and AI. Here's the reality of scaling in 2026. As you grow, you add peoples, you add platforms, you add AI, and suddenly the brand voice turns to either the beige wave, so it becomes polite, professional, warm, completely invisible, or it becomes totally inconsistent. So the sales deck sounds one way, LinkedIn posts sound another, the website is somebody else completely, and no one knows which version is right. So most companies try to fix this with a brand voice document, a PDF that lists adjectives like human and authentic, but this is not a strategy, it's a mood board, and you can't scale mood. You can't feed witty into ChatGPT and expect it to sell your offers. This is not a let's write better problem, it's a scalability problem. You have SOPs in place and systems to scale your operations, your project management, and finance as you grow, but you don't have a system in place that scales your brand voice. It's so important. And that is what Wordology is. It treats brand voice as an infrastructure, not as art. So you can get speed without sloppiness, so you can ship faster, quality without quality falling off a cliff. You get consistency that converts. So websites, decks, emails, sales support, finally sounding like one company, and AI that isn't beige. So the tools your stakeholders are pushing, you can use these without selling your soul. So here's how Wordology works. When I say brand voice, I don't mean tone and personality. I mean everything you say and the way you say it wired to how humans design. So your point of view, what you stand up and stand out for in your industry, the messages you repeat until you stick, and the exact phrases your buyers use. When I talk about brand voice, I am talking about all these things. And that is why brand voice becomes critical to conversions. It becomes a revenue generator when we think of it like that instead of just a personality. So how do you scale your brand voice into a sales weapon? So we start by brainstorming and mine. Instead of brainstorming, we start mining. So the first phrase of Wordology is word mining. We stop asking, how do our best customers actually speak? So I use a method called my clever trick. It includes looking at testimonials and transcripts. It looks at reviews like G2 and Capterra and Trustpilot. It uses interviews and short surveys with your ICPs. I look at captions and communities inside LinkedIn, Reddit, niche forums, and I categorize all this amazing word data that I find into problem language and decision drivers. And this turns your audience persona from a vague sketch into a data set of customer psychology. So you get a live bank of phrases and triggers you can use everywhere from your homepage to pricing page to outbound. It even helps with product development. So step 2 is where I create your voice print. So this is how you actually speak. So we use 3 phrases. So once we have all this data, we build your voice print, and it's not a style guide or a fluffy strategy. It's a decision-making framework built on 3 pillars. The first pillar is empathy. So we use the mirroring principle. We reflect all that word mining, all your customers' language, their exact words back to them in how we speak. It closes the empathy gap. Next, we use identity, and this is how we solve founder bottleneck problem. So we anchor the voice or the voice print into your values so it can scale, so you don't lose the soul of the brand as it grows. And the third part of the voice print is influence. So this is where we put all the behavioral science in place. So we define exactly how you persuade, where do you use loss aversion, where do you use social proof, where do you use future pacing. We define the nudges that move people from scrolling to signing up. And this ensures your voice isn't just pretty, it's engineered to convert. Okay, so those are the first two steps of the Wordology method. The third step is actually the switch on. So where most strategies end, I, as a copywriter, then apply everything into a gold standard piece of copy. It could be your homepage, a sales page, email sequence, an add to landing page funnel, your sales deck, your fundraising deck. I apply everything I've put in this voice print into the real world. And as an optional part here, I can also program your AI. So as an optional next step, I can perform a personality transplant for you. So this looks like programming your model of choice with your voice print. So I program AI with the buyer language and decision drivers and the messaging and guardrails, persuasion patterns, conversion frameworks, all that stuff goes in there. So we teach AI that it's not a copy generator, it's a brand voice operator inside a defined system. That means it starts sounding like your brand and writing like a copywriter. Okay, so step 4 is the ongoing support. So I don't just leave you, I stick around to make sure this works for 3 months. So I run copy clinics for your team if you need them. I check the metrics, I look at what's converting. And this turns it from, we did a branding workshop once, to Wordology is how we operate. This is how we build revenue using our brand voice. So to stitch this all together yourself, you would need to hire a brand strategist, you'd need a researcher, audience researcher, a conversion copywriter, an AI engineer, and basically the cast of Ocean's 11, which becomes expensive and very messy. So Wordology is a done-for-you system that solves it all in one go. So the founder stops becoming the final editor, the marketer gets a system they can trust, and the business gets a consistent voice that does build and bring in revenue. So if you are nodding along because you're currently rewriting the team's work, or you're a marketer tired of the Doom-Rewrite-Bottleneck loop, let's have a conversation. So click the link to book a Wordology call. So we'll look at where your messaging is today, and I'll tell you honestly if Wordology is the right move for you. It's not salesy. It is just a call where we can talk about where you're at and where you want to be, and if this system is going to work for you. If your brand voice is fine, you blend in. If your brand voice is inconsistent, you confuse and lose trust. And if you're using AI without defining it, you get beige. So let's give your team and your tools the words to win. Book your 30-minute Wordology call right now.